So we are the Giving Block. We are a consultancy that works with traditional nonprofits to get them into the blockchain fold. So rather than just looking from the inside out at how we can use blockchain from within our community to benefit the world and look at social impact, we look at traditional existing organizations. And then two core areas. One is building a brand as a crypto fundraiser, so making that a part of your revenue system. The other piece is building partnerships. So working with people to actually leverage the technology, as well as more traditional corporate social responsibility partnerships where the companies are sponsoring something, organization gets the revenue coming in, and then they get to develop a brand together that kind of adds legitimacy to what everybody's working on. Awesome. So this is kind of how we got started. Toward the end of 2017, early 2018, everyone saw the rise of Bitcoin as it rode all the way up to around $20,000. During that time period, we saw a huge spike in crypto philanthropy. So a big reason behind that is tax incentive. It's treated as property, not as a currency by the IRS, meaning that if you make a lot of money trading Bitcoin, if you contribute that Bitcoin directly to a nonprofit, they get the full amount. You pay no taxes on the gains. Nonprofit gets a bigger donation. You get a bigger write-off. So organizations taking crypto donations just makes sense from both sides. Okay, thank you. Some of the bigger ones we saw, you guys have probably heard of most of these, if not all. The Pineapple Fund was an anonymous donor or group of donors. And then together they donated around $56 million in Bitcoin to 60 charitable organizations. What's interesting about that case is a lot of those nonprofits weren't actually taking cryptocurrency at that time. So this donor was not only trying to give away almost $60 million in Bitcoin, but equipping the nonprofit to take the donation, walking them through that process, then making the contributions. Not everyone gets so lucky. That was one of the bigger cases toward the end of the year that made us, start paying attention. Another one is Fidelity Charitable. They've raised over 100 million in Bitcoin donations. And they went from 2017 raising around 6 million in Bitcoin to raising 69 million toward the end of 2017 going into 2018 by having a targeted effort and actually integrating Bitcoin and crypto fundraising into their marketing model. So they were communicating to the base of crypto donors, hey, we're open for business, we take donations, we see the value in the technology. They had people going on the record, and they work with key opinion leaders in the space to show that they were partnering and build up that brand. Because people who donate cryptocurrency, for the most part, aren't going to the regular nonprofit and coaching them on opening a wallet. They're figuring out what nonprofit takes it, going to them, making the contribution, and reaping the tax benefits. And then the last example is Ripple. So some of us in the blockchain space see them as not necessarily the most legitimate cryptocurrency, relatively centralized, but there are some use cases. What they've done is they've built a corporate social responsibility model, much like a lot of traditional companies, and they donate to organizations, nonprofits, 29 million to donors choose, 50 million to universities around the world who are doing blockchain courses. And by doing this, they develop a marketing system around it, and they show themselves to be a legitimate company. They work with more traditional stakeholders, both for-profit and nonprofit. And then the big one that we saw was $4 million donation on the Ellen DeGeneres show. So Ashton Kutcher was their liaison. Ashton Kutcher went on, gave a $4 million cryptocurrency contribution. And that's what finally made my mother okay with the fact that I traded cryptocurrencies. And she was like, oh, it's happening. So we saw all of that happening. We realized this is happening, this is a thing. And the more nonprofits who actually advertise, hey, we're open for business, both for partnerships and for fundraising, can reap the rewards because not everyone's in the space yet. And then this is our general philosophy, the idea being cryptocurrency wealth is generated, cryptocurrency philanthropy occurs as a natural result. Nonprofits and crypto awareness is that the nonprofit and the cryptocurrency community get awareness, attention, and legitimacy by collaborating together in the cryptocurrency community. Working with a traditional nonprofit is a big deal, makes you look more legitimate for a nonprofit fundraising crypto, working with this technology and with this industry. It's exciting, it's fun, and it's a way to brand yourselves as a leader. Increased crypto adoption results in that all of these people, more or less paying attention, are part of a traditional audience. They're seeing it as legitimate. They're seeing it being used. They find that to be exciting, and it brings more people into the fold, and then back to generating more cryptocurrency wealth. And that's kind of the cycle we like to help perpetuate.
So a couple examples of some of the larger nonprofits that take crypto. So everyone always asks, well, is anyone actually accepting crypto? So you'd be surprised. Some of these big names do accept crypto, and there's a lot more than this. It's just a sample. But the big thing is a lot of these organizations aren't necessarily actively fundraising crypto. So they might be equipped, have it on the website, but not be telling anyone. So they're not necessarily raising a lot. It depends. Some of these up here were recipients from the Pineapple Fund. Others, like the Human Rights Foundation, are incredibly active in the space, and we'll get more into that. But they think it's something like 1% of nonprofits that are currently taking crypto. So not a whole lot, but we see that growing pretty quickly. Every few weeks you're seeing a new nonprofit doing it. It's becoming more and more standard, essentially, just because that space is growing so much. I mean, there's something like 50 million crypto users around the world. So it's a pretty big pool for nonprofits to draw from. And it's a completely new community, right? So it's not people they're currently engaging with, and it's not taking away from their other donation methods. This is a totally new pool of funds and a new community. But jumping into two examples of organizations that are really active in the space right now. So the Lupus Foundation, very traditional organization. Not necessarily what you'd say like a natural fit for crypto or blockchain, but what we did there was we spent a lot of time in the beginning educating their leadership team on, what is crypto, what is blockchain, why should you care, how can you use it in a healthcare context. And once they got more comfortable with it, we set them up to take crypto donations. They have wallets now to accept a handful of different cryptocurrencies. They put out a press release about it. We helped spread that to every corner of the internet, essentially. And now if you Google, for example, Crypto Lupus Foundation, you'll see all sorts of articles and posts about it. And once they've established sort of that baseline presence in the space, we went out and found partners for them. So you'll see a bunch of logos listed around there. For example, IBM, they were looking at building their new patient registry using blockchain. Another example is We Trust. That was a crowdfunding website for crypto donations. They had a match from Vitalik on there up to $100,000. Then we have IoTex, which is a cryptocurrency project, and we created something called the Charity of the Quarter. So every quarter, we're going to be choosing a new charity to receive IoTex delegate rewards. If you're familiar with Bitcoin, think of it almost like the miners if they were donating all of their rewards to charity every quarter. And I don't know how much time we have, so I'm kind of running through this quickly. But then there's the Human Rights Foundation, who is also incredibly active in the space. They've been taking crypto for quite a while now, and their chief strategy officer has been really active in the space. So not only do they take crypto, but they've actually incorporated into their kind of programs and their mission in the sense that they believe crypto is a tool for freedom. So they're working with people living under authoritarian governments in places like Venezuela, Iran, North Korea, China, and other countries, where people are really turning to crypto and actually using it on a daily basis to either, let's say, escape censorship, hyperinflation, or just being able to more freely transact locally. If you want to jump in.
And to kind of tie it all together, the reason we picked these two examples, both of which are organizations we work with, Lupus Foundation, I think you said it already, not necessarily a good fit in terms of tech thinking, forward thinking, leveraging the tech in a relatively easy way. What they're doing is they've developed a comprehensive fundraising program strictly on the basis that having nonprofit partners is exciting for organizations in this space. So they have a corporate development program. And then fundraising crypto. Not everyone is trying to use their marketing engines to get the attention of potential crypto donors. And they're out there. So we've seen hundreds of millions of dollars in donations in cryptocurrency over the last couple of years. Over 100 million just on that spike in the turn of 2017 into 2018. And then it's felt kind of relatively quiet since then, unless you're paying attention to the space, just because Bitcoin was all over the news during that time period. And then it felt like it sort of went away. But to provide a little bit more context on that and why the marketing is so impactful, if you go into Google Trends, you can compare the searches around Bitcoin to anything you would think to be popular. So searches that have Bitcoin involved in the query, look at searches that have Kim Kardashian, that have Donald Trump, that have Tesla, Taylor Swift. So we've experimented on all of that. Bitcoin gets searched more frequently. The number of users increase all the time. We went from 5 million a year later to 10 million, a year later to 20, to 30, to 40. Now we're somewhere between 40 and 50. And the attention aspect is very real. So Lupus Foundation, it's a cause that you might not necessarily know what the disease is, and they're using that as an awareness tool as well. And then the Human Rights Foundation, Bitcoin is actually being used in Venezuela, like Alex mentioned. And they've got partners in that area around privacy and what blockchain means for that. It's a nice fit. So you don't necessarily have to have perfect alignment. And we'll wrap it up with this. And I know we have to go to lunch at 12:30, but we'll stick around and answer questions for as long as people would like. The general value proposition here is nonprofits, the optics around being a leader, trailblazer, however you want to put it, just media training. If you're going to a conference, a healthcare conference, you're the only one who can talk about blockchain. There's a reason everyone's in the room today. It's exciting. Attention and awareness, leveraging this community and recognizing that just announcing that you take cryptocurrency for the Lupus Foundation was the most successful press release of all time. Because people get excited. Because just like me, when I started trading cryptocurrency, my mom had a heart attack. And then every time it drops 10% because it's highly volatile, she'll call me, not in tears, but on the verge because crypto has crashed from as far as she can tell. So they see this as a legitimizer. See, what I'm doing is not crazy. I'm not out of my mind. Millennials, there was a study by eToro that millennials are more likely to think that crypto is a good investment than traditional modes of investment like stocks. So this is kind of the direction we're heading in. And then revenue. That's kind of the basis for the nonprofits and for the orgs and the donors. It's more or less self-explanatory. So questions?
Patrick, can you comment briefly on your view of one coin versus another from a carbon footprint perspective? I know when you talk about Bitcoin, people are saying right now it's basically the electrical use of Switzerland. It's going to be the electrical use of Denmark in 2 years or something. So what do nonprofits ask those questions about carbon footprint and all this?
So we do get those questions. We get them from both sides, both nonprofits and the cryptocurrency community. So that's what's called a proof of work system. And that's something that Bitcoin uses, but there's also some that are proof of stake, which is more ecologically friendly. In terms of it being eco-friendly, it does use a tremendous amount of technology, but we're seeing nonprofits that we're working with starting to look at that as an opportunity for corporate social responsibility. So in the same way you have oil companies, and they're trying to transition to make that technology more ecologically friendly, although it is difficult. They work with nonprofits that have boots on the ground, and then they take part of their revenue, and they collaborate with nonprofits that are trying to protect the environment, protect wildlife, focus on things like climate change, and they make those contributions. So we're looking at projects that have proof of work systems, and they're going to do things like take a percentage of their revenue that goes to the foundation every year and contribute that to a nonprofit, or use blockchain to create incentive models for people to use less energy or to compost or whatever else it might be.
That to carbon capture or something?
Sure, potentially, yeah. It's a good idea. So brainstorming around it is important, but anytime there's an opportunity like that where a company is heading in a direction that is possibly alternative to what your organization is doing, there's corporate social responsibility options. Or you could choose not to align with organizations that are associated with proof of work because you think it's not in alignment with your mission. Just kind of depends on the organization.
And one note really quick to add to that, there was a report I read recently, I need to check what the name is, but you'd be surprised by how much of the mining for, let's say, Bitcoin, for example, is using renewable energy. So it's not necessarily, all, coal plants powering these miners, and it's often also hydropower. So this could be in upstate New York and Canada, kind of middle of nowhere. So it's not necessarily, taking energy from somewhere else that's being produced purely for this purpose in a renewable way.
I'll go. Cheryl Conti of Do Big Things. You talked a lot about Bitcoin, but I was wondering about other currencies like Ethereum and how popular those are for giving.
Yeah. So Bitcoin, of course, is the biggest. So we see a lot of donations in Bitcoin. Most of the donations we've seen have been in either Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then other donations in other currencies like Litecoin as well. I mean, most of the people in the space who are donors, I think, were early investors in some of the larger cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum, and that's why you're seeing that. But as the market grows and people make money on other coins, you'll see more and more donations of that as well. The reason for that is, so in the US at least, the way it's treated for tax, as we mentioned, it's like property. But if you're, let's say, converting your one cryptocurrency, like Ethereum, into Bitcoin, as soon as you make that conversion, you're now losing that tax benefit when you donate because that's a taxable event when you do the conversion. So you need to be donating in whatever coin appreciated. So we will see people reach out to a nonprofit and say, you know, I made, let's say, $1 million on X coin. Will you accept this so I can donate this directly? And then we can help accommodate that.
Yeah, 3 quick questions. Thank you. First is on the tax thing. So are these companies settling the transaction at the cost, right? So all of us who have crypto are moving it around from place to place. If you do any day trading at all, and whether I want to take a profit or take a loss and I want to put it and donate it to one of your people, what I want is a settlement statement from these organizations. So will they settle it back to me so that I can then pay taxes? I know there's a thing. Second question is that you would expect in crypto or blockchain more transparency or the use of organization offering it with additional transparency after the participation out of the spend. And the third question is, you can answer if you're not, you're for profit. So are you, is your business model for your company by taking a chunk of the raise, and how does that work? Sure.
Okay. Yeah. So first one on the kind of like a tax receipt, right? So yeah, the nonprofit can provide a tax receipt right after the donation. So the way we have it set up, we have an API that's automatically converting donations within 10 seconds. So it's pretty much the value at the time of what you're sending it. And then you can go in and the nonprofit can see exactly, you know, what it's sold for down to the cent and send you a tax receipt on that. Does that answer the first one?
Yeah, that's actually good.
Okay.
That's the first one.
Okay. Second one?
I'm going to jump to the third one because I forgot your second one. We can tie back to it. The way we do our business model is we don't take a percentage because in the blockchain space, having anyone become an intermediary is kind of self-defeating. It goes against the entire narrative of what we're all trying to accomplish. So the way we do it is we work as a traditional consultancy. So sometimes a nonprofit goes, I just want to open up wallets. I want to take these cryptocurrencies. If I want to take a new one in the future, you can help us with that. But just open up wallets for us and give our leadership some basic education. And we'll just build that into a package, come to a price point that everyone agrees on. They go, that's worth that value. And then the transaction's over. Or you can have active fundraising programs like Lupus Foundation, Human Rights Foundation. They go, tax season's coming up. We want a social media plan. Maybe we want an interview on a podcast that the cryptocurrency community listens to. We want to talk about it at our conference. We want to get a blockchain sponsor at our gala and do a press release around that before tax season comes around, whatever it might be. So we just build out packages based on what the nonprofit's looking for, and they scale up and down depending on interest level and outcomes. And then what was your second question?
The second one was so the Lupus, which was your example, are they providing more transparency back to their donors because within the ecosystem it's kind of expected because there's a high degree of waste, which some of the other people spoke about.
So there's an input and an output function there. The input function is inherent. So if you're taking cryptocurrency donations, you can see the money that's going into that wallet address. So anyone can go, look at a wallet explorer and see how much crypto is coming in. So that's always a yes. The second question would be the output function. If they're using cryptocurrency for their operations, that requires other people in the system to take cryptocurrency. So you can take, let's say you're having a walk fundraiser, you take donations in cryptocurrency. That donation transparency only extends as an output function if the vendors you're working with are also equipped with wallets. Then you can see every dollar in, every dollar out. So Maker, which is a stable coin, so the volatility around Bitcoin, Ethereum, other cryptocurrencies. Another point, we have an API built in that auto-converts if the nonprofit doesn't want to hold it, meaning that it's immediately converted to cash, so you don't have to worry about volatility on your end. But Maker is a stable coin, meaning the price doesn't change. It's linked to the US dollar. And they're going to be doing a transparency initiative with the Lupus Foundation in San Francisco in October, and that will look at an output function as well. So yeah, it depends organization to organization.
And it looks like we're out of time, but at 3 o'clock we'll be doing a workshop, which is, this is really the what, and the workshop will be really the how of running through a case study of how your nonprofit could get a program like this set up.
Thanks, everybody.